Welcome to the living room. The giant zit on my nose and myself would like to give you a heads up that this episode contains conversations about thoughts of suicide. So if you have similar feelings or know someone that does, there's plenty of resources that are anonymous. Reach out to the people that you love. And I love you too. So, what do you want to talk about this week, Amir?
The same thing we talk about every week, Eric. Coffee. It's the oil that keeps this fucked up machine running, but fuck, it tastes so goddamn good.
Live to tape from Vancouver, it's Eric's Living Room, a show best listened to in the nude, featuring Amir Ali. And now, the man who still hasn't paid me for voicing these intros, here is your host, Eric Chapman.
Oh, welcome to the living room. I'm Eric. He is Amir. Oh, sweet coffee gods. I didn't realize how much I missed coffee and how much I love it. I only started drinking it in the last 5 years of my life. I'm 42, so I lasted most of my life without drinking it. And just recently, so I just started drinking recently, but I took a trip, which we'll get into in a minute, and I haven't had a coffee in 3 days now. This is my first coffee because for some reason, Amir, it's not even noon, and we're recording this show, and so I'm having this coffee because it's the morning still, and it's like I'm savoring it. It's like every sip is orgasmic. I'm gonna go with that word again.
I'll have coffee at any time of day. I don't care if it's morning or 6 o'clock at night. I'll have coffee because it's not the wakefulness properties of coffee that I drink it for. I just like the taste. And actually, for me too, I've only really started drinking coffee in the last 5 or 6 years seriously and become
really?
like a major coffee snob.
Yes, you are. That's where I get my advice, and I like it though.
So they don't have any coffee shops where you went to?
They had like a Tim Hortons and a Starbucks. Of course they do, but it's small town Alberta, and I'm just not going to waste my time with swill. I
Yeah.
want a tasty, and I'm not even trying to make coffee anymore at my house because someone else is good at it, and I will just get them to do it for me.
There goes our chances of getting Tim Hortons or Starbucks as a sponsor. But I will also not, unless it's like a dire emergency, which is usually not.
Yeah.
Or if someone's like going to Starbucks and they're like, hey, do you want a coffee? I'm like, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, right, but I'll get
I'm not going to spend my own money.
I'll just write it down for them because I get a soy milk chai latte with whipped cream when I go to site. Yeah. Because the chai and the soy and the whip, they do this nice little blendy flavor, yeah.
It's pronounced whip.
Whip.
Get it right.
Okay, so we got to do this mental health check because I fucked up in the last couple days. Yeah, so let's see how Amir's doing and check in with him because you had therapy within the last week, I believe.
Yeah, it was last week, and it was a tougher session because I'm going through some stuff when it comes to relationships and that kind of thing, and I was just really honest about my struggles in a relationship and trying to get some clarity on, you know, what's preventing me from being the best I can be. And we kind of talked about this earlier, which is I'm a really rational person most of the time, but I get really irrational when it comes to love and relationships, and I'm trying to battle that and be more rational, it's just like it honestly sometimes feels like the world is going to end.
I believe that, and I'd like everyone else to do, because as Amir has mentioned before, and it's awesome, and I'm not putting it down, but this is the first time Amir has truly been in love, and he's admitted it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like everyone watching, and myself too, to welcome Amir to the crazy thing called love, man, because that's the reason the song was written. It is it screws you up, and I've never, honestly, like maybe once in my life had jealousy of my exes. I'm friends with all my exes. My dear friend Abby, who we were lovers for a few years and now we're just besties. My former fiance Aubrey, we're very close. But I've seen them with partners.
Ugh.
Immediately after, and it didn't bother me. But this last girl, damn, she took this trip with this guy. And it looks like they're together. Whether they are or not, it doesn't matter. The initial impact of the emotions is just like, oh, and it's just killing me, man. I'm dying. I hate it. Speaking of love and what it does to you, man. Jeez, because I really love this girl, like, a lot. And it really ended on a weird kind of thing. And there wasn't closure for me. So yeah. Oh.
Jealousy is the worst, and I honestly want to just like when I feel that way or I'm insecure, I want to jab my own eyes out because I don't want to feel that way.
Right? That's what it is. You feel dirty, right?
Oh yeah, you feel like a scumbag.
Yeah. Oh
and
man.
it's I can't control it
Yeah.
sometimes, but
Yeah.
let's not talk about my struggles anymore or love.
But back to you and your love. Yes. Are you this is it difficult too because like a lot of admitting your faults in all of this too, because I found that was a challenge for me when I first initially was starting to discover that stuff.
No, that's actually been pretty easy for me to
good.
admit my own faults, but that doesn't help me fix them. I'm always honest about like my struggles. I've got a lot of them and I'm very open about it. But I mean, obviously acknowledging it is maybe the first step into like fixing it and understanding yourself and moving on from that. But so admitting it has never been an issue for me. It's
That's
just the next step after that.
Because that's a lot of a hurdle for people
sure.
is just admitting
The
they're
realization.
wrong. Yeah, like it's tough to be wrong, especially when you're right all the time like me.
You were saying you fucked up.
Oh, son, I done fucked up. I thought, I'm sorry, Jody. I'm sorry, Mom. Jody's one of my besties, and Mom is my mom, if you didn't understand.
Oh, Mom's your mom.
Yeah, right. Did you not get that? Okay. So I have this thing with my anxiety where I don't eat. And I ate like maybe maybe 2 full meals, maybe.
In 3 days.
In 3.5 days, maybe. And 2 glasses of water after I've done the math and counting. Because I went back to Alberta because one of my best friends, his dad died, Smiling Wayne. We talked about him in a previous episode. And so I went to the funeral, and it was tough. It was real tough. And I saw some people that I really love that are like my mom's best friend, Sandy. Her husband, Lyle, was best friends with Wayne. And they were people when I was without a home, they took me in and helped me out. So they're like, he's like dad number one, you know what I mean? Lyle and Sandy. And so I got to see them and the stress and the surrounding. And I don't like traveling. It stresses me out. Does traveling stress you out?
I love traveling, actually.
Yeah, you like the fly. It's just the flying part.
Flying stresses you out.
Oh, it's just
fear of like what could happen?
It's not fear of death.
Oh.
But it's fear of everyone around me.
Really?
Yeah, I hate it. I feel claustrophobic, and I'm not really claustrophobic.
Did you have to sit next to anybody on this flight?
Yeah, I was in the middle seat, too.
Oh,
I'm 6'3", and I flew Flair.
I don't like that.
You know what, Flair? Fuck you.
They're tight.
You guys suck.
Super crowded. Oh, there goes another sponsor.
Yeah. We're never going to make any money off this. So anyways, the stress of that, all these emotions, and when I get stressed like that, I don't eat. And so, I got home. It was probably during the flight, because we were in the air like an hour and 16 minutes, I think. It was about halfway through the flight that I started to feel like sick. And I was like, the first thing I go to is COVID nowadays. It's like, oh no, am I getting you? Did I get someone else sick? That's my first thought. Am I sick? Am I spreading it? And I felt this like wooziness in my stomach. I was okay, whatever. It's no big deal. Just flying. And then I landed and I got off the plane. It was like this wave of hot and cold flash up my body.
Oh.
And like I was shaking and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And so I was just analyzing and going over and I was like, then I'm counting. I'm like, okay, I ate a turkey sandwich, a half a wrap, a burger, and and 2 pieces of bacon. And that's basically all I ate. And okay, there's that. And then I was like, okay, how much water did I drink? I drank 17,000 beers and 2 glasses of water. And so all of a sudden, once I realized that and figured it out, I was like, okay, I'm malnourished and dehydrated. And I was like on the couch like this. I'm like,
oh no.
Oh, do I have to go to the hospital and get hydrated? Like, do I need fluids? Like, I put myself to that extreme. I put my body through so much fucking stress, and it was to the limit. And yeah, oof.
That's usually the first thing my therapist checks in with me about if I come in distress is the fundamentals: water, food, and sleep. How did you sleep?
Didn't. That was the third one I forgot. Thanks for reminding me. And my friend Kyle, Eggs we call him, he did a wonderful thing and got a hotel room with 2 beds. I didn't even know it, so he let me stay in there with him. It was really nice. It was great. And it was at this like old hotel that we used to party at all the time, and it was a trip.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And he got me this room, but he sleeps with a white noise machine.
Oh, I don't like that.
Oh man,
I can see why it would help people, but I don't understand that.
Yeah,
personally,
like
I want silence.
The first night I was okay with it. You know, it was because I was experimenting. I was like, let's try this out. And I was like, and going into the second night, I was like even excited. I was like, oh, like I'm trying, because it blocks out the noises that might wake you up. But then it's like, it's midnight, it's 3 a.m., it's 4 a.m., and I'm staring at the wall and this fucking white noise is going off. And that's not all that was keeping me up. It was the stress of the trip, of course, but it was part of it, yeah.
Even just like music, I can't follow. So even if it's like really chill music, the only thing I can sleep is silence. And when I was younger, the background noise from a TV is oddly peaceful for some reason.
Crazy, because I had to tell Kyle, who I'm staying with, he's like, this is your white noise machine. I need to watch TV for 20 minutes and fall asleep, because it's the same thing for me. I love falling asleep to the TV on the couch. It's my favorite thing. Yeah, it really is.
I also like
peaceful.
the sounds of like if you're staying in a place that's near like a busy road, like the sounds of like very faint traffic.
Yeah,
by,
or
like,
trains sometimes. Yeah, I like that.
That's the sound it makes.
What is it again? Hey, look at that car that just went by. Wow, amazing. But yeah, seeing old friends was cool too, because we saw a lot of old. It was almost all the homies.
I saw
back
some
in the
old
day.
friends recently for sort of a similar reason. This happened maybe earlier this year, maybe at the beginning of the year. I had to go to a celebration of life for a friend that passed away. It's actually a friend that was found in the downtown east side.
Oh no, OD?
That's what they think. And it was so crazy
My heart,
because
yeah.
when I was going to high school with her and we were really tight, she was like, one of the top of the class people, super athletic, super academic, pro athlete actually. And to hear like 10 years later or however long later that this was the fate that they met with. And honestly, part of it was due to, sadly, a mix-up around love and like a fallen relationship and like things breaking down.
Jeez, that's the theme of this show is love. Yeah.
But
Wow,
yeah, I got to
yeah.
see a lot of old friends and
Yeah.
like it was a trip seeing people that I hadn't seen because I never went to my high school reunion. I think we talked about this.
Yes, we did.
And yeah, it was sort of wild. Overall though, like you're probably one of the oldest friends that I have.
Really? Yeah, because we've known each other for a long time.
It
Yeah.
must have been like what, maybe over 10 years now. Because
Well,
I went to broadcasting school in
no.
my early 20s.
I was in radio for 14 years, and we were friends before I did radio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Old friends.
And you know what? That's interesting. You say that. There's, like, I did it. The guys that I went to the funeral with. There's Darcy, Kyle, Oz, Synaptics. We used to rap together. Versatile. We used to rap together too. And like just maybe 3 other people. And that's it. And we've been friends since high school, like tight friends. And it's like it's like we pick it up. I haven't seen any of them in like a long time, probably 5 years. And it's like you pick it up and you're just rolling with it. I love that. But when your friend died, did anybody give you shitty advice? Because speaking of funerals, so I tell someone that my friend's dad died. Sad situation. So I'm like, yeah. So one of my best friend's dad, Wayne, died, and I'm got to go to the funeral. It's quite upsetting. And he looks at me. He's like, you know what he should have done? A juice cleanse.
Oh no.
It's like
Somebody died and they said he should have done a juice cleanse to save his own
the
life.
first response is, I'm going to give you tips on what to do to save a person's life when they have cancer and they're fighting it for their life and have been for 4 years. Oh, he should have done a fucking juice cleanse.
That's really weird because last week I was on Reddit and there was I think it was like a Today I Learned subreddit post about Steve Jobs.
Oh.
And obviously he died after a battle with pancreatic cancer. But apparently for around the last 9 months of his life, he turned to alternative medicine instead of
Fuck's sakes.
doctor's advice. And with all the money he had and all the people around him, he could have actually probably survived, is what you can find out about this online.
If someone could have bought the cure for cancer, it's Steve Bloody Jobs. What did he do? Like, what was his, instead of getting surgery and taking Western medicine? And the mixture is cool.
For sure.
There's a room for this, but let's get surgery.
When you're about to die.
Yeah. Oh.
So apparently throughout his life, he subscribed to a fruit diet.
Oh.
And Ashton Kutcher, who played him in the movie, apparently tried to take it on, and he said it was hell.
Yeah. You
he
have
also-
the runs all day. Yeah.
He also tried to do stuff like acupuncture, just basically all these holistic and sort of natural remedies that he was looking up online, like my mom would do. And this is Steve Jobs, the man behind Apple,
Yeah, it's right. And this is what drives me nuts and just confuses me. Like, we have to figure out, like, was this guy smart? Or was he just a complete moron? And what's the difference? Like, where's the line? Because this guy was, as far as we were concerned, or that we know, but there's other information that's coming out now that says maybe to the contrary as well with Steve Jobs. Maybe he wasn't as smart, and maybe he's just stature as a human, his ability to sell him. He's a salesman more.
Oh,
so,
yeah. He was a great marketer. He was a great business person. He was a great front man for Apple. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can read about him taking credit for other people's work. Not that he probably obviously contributed a ton.
Sure.
But it makes you wonder, if you were at that stage, would you do everything you could in terms of like actual evidence-based, therapy or healing methods to save your own life?
Yeah.
You would? You would go all out?
I would go to a point, because I guess it depends on the severity, but I would give it a try. I wouldn't just give up, because Western medicine is a beautiful thing, and let's take those pills and get that surgery. Like, let's roll with it. And I'm sure there's, like I said, there's room holistic, but I think that, and especially now, because we talked about dying in a previous episode, you can check it out anytime. My outlook on death has really changed even in the last year.
Oh.
And so I think I'm okay with death. Like, I'm still grieving over people and learning how to grieve for people. But when it comes to myself, I'm really starting to really find, like we've talked about again, love for myself and love for living and just enjoying each moment. And that's enough for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm really finding a lot of peace in that. And so in doing that, I'm thinking about things like what you brought up. And it's like, I will fight hard for as long as I can. But there will be a point where I'll be like, okay, maybe someone could come in and slip me some fentanyl or something like that. Like I'll take those steps. Like I feel like that's where I am right now anyways.
I think I'm at a similar place. I think for the longest time I used to fear death, and I think a lot of my fear of death was actually because of being in the world of religion a little bit and thinking about the consequence of like heaven or hell or whatever. But now, yeah, I think I'm okay with it too.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's what I want to give that caveat too when I say what I just said. Because that's where I am right now with it. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's like anything else. It's an evolving thing because it's a big part of everyone's life, because it's a part of life. Death is it, like whether you like it or not. And so I think it's an evolving conversation and an evolving practice in your own mind.
And that's where I go to a place of being okay with it, because it's a natural process. It has to happen. It's even, you can look at it as a good thing in a lot of ways. I remember actually having a conversation with this friend who was also in the computer science world, and he used to think that science would, kind of like you in some ways, just be sort of the be-all, end-all of everything. But he took it to the extreme where he thought that one day science would develop immortality to some degree.
Oh, okay. Would that go in that way? Ew, gross.
And he thought of that as a good thing. He thought that if people were immortal because of science, like having like de-aging methods or eternal youth or whatever you want to call it, he thought that was a good thing. And I mean, maybe we don't even have to explain based on your reaction just now why it's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
But imagine dictators living forever and shit like that.
Exactly. And how gross to just twist and warp their mind. Like, there's so many TV shows that explain why this is just not a good idea.
Or like imagine boomers living forever.
Oh, no.
We would never be able to afford a house. Neither would our kids.
Oh, I'd be so annoyed. Everything would be so hard and difficult. Jeez.
Yeah, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all been there, and there's help out there that you can get for yourself if you're ever feeling this way. I'm sure we've all been in a place, or a lot of us have been in a place where we've even, wanted it.
Yeah, I've been in a place where in the last 3 years when I had my mental breakdown where I wouldn't push it away. It's like I didn't want to die. I didn't want to kill myself. There was no plan. There was no suicidal thoughts. But there were thoughts of, if I just walked into the bush and never came back. And just not walked into the bush and died, but like in a movie, I just walked into the end of Game of Thrones when Jon Snow just goes into you don't know what happened. Is he dead? He's probably dead. Everybody just assumes he died. Like that sort of scenario is what I would go through.
I don't know what you're talking about because I've never watched Game of Thrones.
Oh, come on, man. How
I'm never going to.
Why not?
I don't know. I tend to stay away from everything that people jump on like a hype train about.
Bro.
I didn't watch Squid Game until like 2 or 3 years after.
Well, it's been 2 or 3 years since Game of Thrones. Watch the fucking show. It's so excellent. You got to watch it because we can't talk about stuff. I'm going to make Jon Snow references.
Not everybody out there has watched I'm sure most of them have. Most of you have. You probably have.
Oh, I read the books.
Okay, well that's.
I was being an asshole when I said that, but yeah, no, I listened to the audiobook.
I've had a similar thing though. Sometimes maybe steering towards that darkness, but also sometimes just being like, I'm just gonna leave everything behind. I'm gonna run away from everything.
Whatever form that takes.
Yeah, and just hide.
I was thinking more a little bit about the death and religion at the funeral, and how it was a really nice service, and everything was going good, until the religion came in. And then they started doing these sermons that just felt they were just
preaching about
the
stuff,
second,
right?
like I feel like pastors have like this list. Sorry guys, I just got to say it. Okay, I haven't used this one in 2 years, so I'm going to use this one here. You know what? They schedule their phrases and their psalms instead of picking ones for the person, because it was just like the pastor was just up and down like he'd done it 10,000 times. There was nothing it was all about God. It went from fucking Wayne to talking about Jesus. And it's like, I don't know Jesus. I want to talk about Wayne some more. Yeah.
I've had good ones though. Like when I used to go to the mosque when I was younger, there was this one imam in particular, and
Is
I
that
think
like a priest?
The imam is sort of like the leader of the mosque, the
Okay.
one that leads the prayer at the mosque. And I don't remember who died, but I remember him giving a speech to the people who were attending that day. And he didn't necessarily talk about stuff in like a preachy way. He was actually just talking about like the universe and the stars
that's
and
cool.
shit like that. I was like, oh, that's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of enlightening, you know,
Yeah,
in some way. He wasn't telling me what to do or how to live my life or anything like
See,
that.
I dig that. Yeah. And see,
yeah.
this was just like, God says you got to do this, and if you do this, you'll hang with God. It's
For
like,
sure.
oh,
I don't want to hang with God.
I don't. I really
what
don't.
What has he done for me lately?
Well, I don't even think he's up there, so let's not get into that again.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, death, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with death right now.
Same.
So what do you want to talk about next week?
The most profound thing that's ever happened to me, when I asked my best friend in high school why, and he replied, "Why not?"